Hey everybody, how you doing? I don't know how many people we got out there, but I don't see anybody in the chat, so not too many, I assume. But whatever the case, we're going to go ahead through with the show and have a pretty good time. I haven't done a live stream in a long time, but at any rate, I've got almost 3,000 subscribers now, so I'm starting to gain a little bit of leeway. Not too bad for only 5 years in the making. Okay. Oh, one more thing. I'm a drinking tonight. Good old Evan Williams. Love the stuff. I mean, this huge old jug cost about $25, and it's good, cheap whiskey. And so, if you got Uncle Roscoe coming over all the time and drinking all your good stuff, buy a big jug of that and have it laying around. He'll be happy. Okay, so what do we have on the agenda tonight? Well, the first thing we're going to look at is that traffic stop involving the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office, and everybody's all worked up over it. And I figured that I don't, I'm going to have to address it at some point because everybody wants to talk about it. So I figure why not do it at the live stream? So that'll be the first thing we'll do. Then we're going to talk about Carmelo Anthony, and that is turning into a real clown show. I have never seen the histrionics surrounding a case quite like that one. Maybe OJ, but not even Kyle Rittenhouse had this kind of weirdness about it. So we'll do that. And then we have a Rashad Ritchie update here. Well, we're going to play one of his indisputable shows, and he's going to make an ass out of himself. I mean, I swear the guy doesn't have any brains at all. And then Richard Taylor, he's got an interesting one. It may be that we're getting a little late for that, so we'll see if we have time for it. So at any rate, let me share the screen, and we'll get talking about the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office. And so if you're watching the show, can you put something in the chat? I'd like to know if there's anybody out there. Because I'm telling you, if nobody's watching, I might just cut this show tonight a little bit short. I'm not going to sit here all night and talk to. Um, I think there's only two people watching. I mean, come on, I mean, seriously, I've been advertising the show all day, but here we go.
2-4 Bravo, Echo Charlie Whiskey on a silver Kia. I don't know how this. Yes, sir. Is there a reason why you're popping the door open like that? I don't have a window that works. Is there a reason that you're pulling me over? Yeah, absolutely. There's a reason why I'm pulling you over. For one thing, inclement weather, you don't have your lights on. Two things, you're not wearing your seatbelt. It's daylight. I don't need the lights. And it's not weather. It's not raining. Oh, this is inclement? It's not raining. Okay, I'm not arguing with you. I'm telling you why I'm pulling you over.
Okay, so right off the bat, the seatbelt thing is something that nobody's talking about because everybody's fixated on the headlights. But he wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Guys, you're going to get pulled over for that. Just put on your freaking seatbelt, man. Don't give them an excuse to pull you over unless you're wanting them to pull you over. Okay. And some people are saying that this dude is wanting the cops to come over because he was setting up. I mean, I'm not sure about that, but whatever the case, he's not wearing a seatbelt. The officer has reasonably articulated suspicion that a crime is underway because he saw you without a seatbelt. In fact, that gives him probable cause. So, can he pull you over? Absolutely. And the inclement weather thing, in my opinion, the cop should never have even brought that up. He's got the guy on a seatbelt violation. Why introduce this inclement weather thing? Well, first of all, if I'm a cop, and I'm not, okay, I'm not a cop, but if I'm a cop, that inclement weather or headlight thing on is just something I'm just going to tell them to do. Hey, look, after I give them the ticket for the seatbelt violation, although I probably wouldn't have done that either, but if I'm going to give them a ticket for that, I would just tell them, hey, on the way out, you need to put your headlights on because it is dark enough to where I think you need them. And you solved the problem, right? The problem was the guy didn't have his headlights on. So when you tell him to put them on and he does, you solve the problem. So why even go there? But whatever the case, the officer People are talking about him being overly gruff and being a real jerk. To be honest with you, at this point, I don't see that. The guy opened his door, and that obviously set the cop off because you're not supposed to do that. But the guy had a good reason for it. Hey, the window doesn't roll down, so I'm going to have to open the door so I can talk to you. The trouble is that a lot of people, well, I think we all do this, right? We want to be mad. And so the cop is pissed off, but the guy has a reasonable explanation, but you still want to be mad, right? Have you ever been mad at your kids or maybe at a spouse or something? Then you find out there's a perfectly rational reason and you don't want to accept it because you just, darn it, I want to be mad about this. And I have a feeling the cop is there doing that. So in my opinion, the cop is kind of having a bad time with the guy, but nothing's happened here so far that's out of the ordinary. Now, one thing about it is the guy is trying to argue the law on the side of the road. Okay. If I'm being pulled over and the guy gives me this inclement weather headlights thing, what I'm going to do is just simply say, look, it just didn't look like it was dark enough for them. If you want me to turn them on, okay, no problem. I got no problem with it. But the reason why I didn't have them on is it just doesn't look that dark. Can we just kind of forget this? And the seatbelt thing, okay, I wasn't wearing my seatbelt. All right, I'll sign the ticket for that. But how about cutting me a break on this headlight thing? Man, it doesn't look that bright outside. And if he had been nice about that, the cop might have said, fine, okay. He's got him on the seatbelt anyway. But this guy has to argue the point. He's going to try to prove to the cop that he's in charge of this traffic stop and that he knows the law better than the cop. And I'm telling you, that's never going to work out well. Well, it might work out well okay here because he might get a lawsuit out of this, but you know what I mean. So let's go on. Someday, once it loads.
Give me your driver's license, registration, proof of insurance.
No, call your supervisor. Why?
Excuse me?
Call your supervisor. Why did you pull me over?
I've already told you.
Why did you pull me over?
Step out of the vehicle.
No,
Step out of the vehicle.
Oh boy. Okay. All right. Let's take a few things here. First of all, this is what Rick over at Good Luck America would call a no person. He's a no person. He's not going to do anything you tell him to do. And guess what? That's going to anger the cop to beat hell. That doesn't necessarily justify everything that the cop is going to do. We're going to get to that in a moment. However, the driver isn't exactly blameless here. Okay. Shutting the car on the cop? Oh no, hell no. That's just indefensible. It's rude. And like, guys, you're supposed to be so terrified of these cops, right? No, these cops, man, if you get pulled over by the cops here, they're just going to shoot you. They're going to gun you down, especially if you're black. And it's a white cop. Oh, he's racist and he's going to be itching for any reason to use his gun on you. So what do? You slam the car door on him. Come on, man. I ain't going to buy all that terrified of cops BS because it's purely BS. He's not scared of that cop at all. All right. And in fact, he's going out of his way to antagonize him. Bad move. Does he have to call his supervisor? No, he doesn't. I'm sorry. I don't know of any state, and I don't think any state requires police to notify their supervisors. Now, some departments might have it down as a policy, but policy ain't law. And so the cop doesn't have to call a supervisor. And if you say, hey, look, I really questioning this traffic stop. Can you call your supervisor over? I'd like to talk to him. The cop might have been willing to do that, but he demands it. Call your supervisor. No, I mean, look, if I'm the cop, I'm not going to do it. Not if you tell me like that. Screw you. I'm not going to call my supervisor. So the guy is saying, no, I'm not going to get out of the car. He has to get out of the car. That's Pennsylvania versus Mims. You may not like it, but when the cop tells you to get out of the car, you got to do it. I mean, you might say, hey, why? I mean, what have I done? You might question it a little, but in the end, if the cop is persistent about you getting out of the car, you got to do it. And you're not going to win that argument in court. not going to, period. All right. Now, state statute might say that you don't have to get out of the car, but Pennsylvania versus Mims is what the appeals court is going to look at. I mean, sorry, not the appeals court, but what the district court is going to look at, and they're going to support the police officer in this deal if you try to, let's say, sue him. And if you sue him, that makes him a defendant. And, well, sue him, no, it wouldn't make him a defendant. It'd make him the defendant, which means he can appeal it. Of course, the plaintiff can too, which means an appeals court could look at Pennsylvania versus Mims as well. So you're not going to win. So right away, this guy is doing some really stupid, irresponsible, actions. But the cop is not going to. So let's go on.
For 94, the driver just slammed the door and locked it. Yep. 25 seconds. If anybody responded, come in from Commonwealth. Block the vehicle, please. Keep your hands where I can see them, sir. My camera's on too. I've already told you. Okay.
Yeah, he has. Quit being a dick about it. He told you, and this constant, why am I being pulled over thing, that is very irritating. Good grief. This is called playing dumb. And don't do that. He told you, accept it.
Okay. Right now you're under arrest for resisting. You understand? You're under arrest for resisting. The longer you take us on, the worse it's going to be.
A lot of people have said resisting arrest. No, he's resisting detainment. Once you have RAS, you can detain that individual, and if he refuses to cooperate, you can bust him for that. So he has not been placed under arrest. He will be soon, but okay. Okay, if I'm the cop, I'm telling the other one, hey, do me a favor. When you pull up, make sure you have your headlights on when you do so, because I just got done telling this guy that I'm busting him for not having his headlights on. And here you come pulling up without your headlights on. Are you going to give this cop a ticket? No, of course not. But you should, right? So, yeah, that wasn't too swift. But this also goes to show you that the headlight deal was never an issue with this cop. You got him on the seat belt. Bringing up the headlights was stupid because your fellow cop just sold you out here.
Sir, this is your last warning to open the vehicle and exit before we're going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. Open the door and exit or we are going to break the window. No, he's under arrest.
Can I get that burger though? It's not time yet.
Crappy beer.
Hey, I'm about to break the window.
And the other officer shows up with no headlights on, but this one's got them on. Okay, that helps.
Break the window. All right, go for it. Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hands. Here.
33 at 15.1 hours.
What is your reason? No, don't forget. Put your hands behind your back. Resist. Hands behind your back. What's wrong with you?
What you mean?
Now, keep in mind, a lot of people are jamming on these other officers. They just pulled up. They don't know what's going on. And so they see all this. They think this guy has done something really bad. So they're going to join in and control this suspect because they think this is important. This is really serious. If they had been there all the time, they probably wouldn't have. And in fact, if I'm a cop here, if I saw what was transpiring, I think I would have told the guy, look, you need to cool down a little. Let me handle it from here on. You're getting a little bit too invested. And by the way, I don't know if you saw it, but we got a couple of punches in there. We'll see more of that coming up.
And I was putting my hands behind my back. I was going to walk up now, man. Ain't no talking. Fucking talking shit, bro. I'm doing, bro. What's going on, man? You're under arrest. That's what's going on. No, bro. Yes, bro. Yes. No reason, bro. You gonna throw my phone like that, bro? Yeah, I'm gonna take it off now, man. Bro. Yeah. And I'm just trying to have a real conversation with y'all, bro.
You just got to see what's already.
So your partner didn't even.
It looks like that cop came in and hit him and it popped the hood. Take a look at that. I mean, you came in on a guy who was sitting there at rest and you hit his car with yours and damaged the hood. Are you kidding me? Let's see here. Shows the cops don't have a good temperament, especially for that job. Okay, I disagree with you in terms of the other cops. This guy is pulling out a suspect. You don't know what's transpired, and you're going to just join in and get the suspect detained. And they did that. They're not the ones punching on him. Okay, as far as I can tell, all of the punching was done by the one officer. So I think we'll have a better view of it here in a moment.
Marijuana in his right pocket. Yes, it is. So why close the door if you see him pull up? Because, man, what you mean? He talking about arresting me and stuff, bro. I didn't do nothing.
It's called resisting, idiot.
I didn't do nothing wrong, bro. Can you back me up to the cops after me now? You broke my door.
Yeah, he busted the hood.
You good? Yeah, you or him? Okay.
Under arrest for resisting.
Can you unlock the door and step out? I will. Can you step out?
Because you don't even know the whole situation.
You're being done. There's a traffic stop being conducted. You're required to comply. So, yes. Correct. Huh? Okay. So what did he ask for when he I guess talked to you?
When he pulled me over,
Yeah.
opened my door because my window don't work.
Oh yeah.
And then I said, so what I did wrong?
Yeah.
He said, well, for one, your headlights are off under this weather. I'm like,
Okay.
there's multiple people headlights.
Okay, that's still a legitimate reason to pull somebody over.
There's no rain.
It doesn't matter. You're still required to have headlights on.
Yeah, it probably does. I don't think that he had to have the headlights on in this condition, but you know what? You go to court and argue that. I mean, you know, maybe the cops have it wrong, but whatever. I mean, they're not perfect. The one cop was holding his face to the pavement. Yeah, that's true. That is an accepted, I think it's an accepted way to control a suspect in some states. Obviously, you can't overdo it. I don't know about that one. You might be right. That might have been a bit much. Yeah, I agree with that. He didn't really do all that much here. Certainly, I mean, I watched tons of sovereign citizen videos and this guy does have some of those tendencies. And quite frankly, his actions were nothing like what these others do.
Huh? Yeah, when you step out of the car, I will.
Excuse me.
Now it's
Are
Michelob.
you for those ultras? Well, we're kind of high level.
Yeah, a really crappy commercial.
All right, go for it.
Okay, we know what goes on here.
Vehicle now. Exit the vehicle. Show me your hand. Here.
33 at 15 21 hours.
What's your reason, sir? What is your reason?
Step out now.
All right. Get on the ground. No, don't get on the ground. What's the fight? Behind your back. Resist it behind your back.
I tend to agree with you, Blunt B, a bit. I mean, I think that the cops were over aggressive, keeping in mind that they're probably not real privy to what happened here. And I don't know. I mean, I can see arguments both ways in that one.
What's wrong with you?
2574, lift 1033, one in custody.
Stop. Lean up.
Now let's see if we have the other scene here.
You're under arrest.
Naturally not. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it off you, bro.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can come up with a better video of this. Here we go.
Now to the violent arrest caught on camera in Florida. Authorities are defending the officer's actions. We do want to warn you, some of you will find this video hard to watch.
I don't know why they say hard to watch. What's so hard about it? Looks pretty clear to me. Don't see any blurry or anything. Okay. By the way, the old elbow into the window thing, I have actually never seen that done before. And man, that looks like that could be painful. I've seen some of these windows pretty hard to crack. And so I don't know if I would do it that way.
Exit the vehicle now. Exit the vehicle.
The Jacksonville, Florida Sheriff's Office has now released body camera video of this violent arrest back in February.
Okay, so we saw it there. That is totally inexcusable. And I think we all agree with that, right? I don't think anybody who's seen that says, oh, yeah, that was warranted. The officer clearly lost his cool. And so now the question becomes, well, what should happen to the officer? What should happen to the suspect? Well, the suspect should get his ticket for the seatbelt deal. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt. He has to pay the fine. He also needs to get a new hood to have his car fixed. I mean, that was totally BS. Some injuries. However, he didn't come forward with this video until months later. So if he went and saw the doctor about his injuries at that time, well, then he should get compensation. Plus, I think he does deserve a settlement here. Does he get $1 million? No. Does he get 100,000? No. But he should get something because, you know, he went through some trauma here. I mean, I wouldn't think $20,000, $30,000 would be out of the, realm of possibility. I don't think a person should get rich from being kind of a real dick. Okay. Even though he clearly was treated very unjustly here. What about the police officer? No, I thought he had a window punch. No, I don't think so. I thought he just used his elbow. We'll take a look at it here again. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, what about the officer? Well, first of all, he can't be an officer. If this set him off like this, can you imagine what he's going to be like after a high-speed pursuit? Have you ever watched those things and you get just so worked up and so mad and you just fantasize about beating the living tar out of the dude, and you have to, at the end, you pitted the guy, his car is turned over, whatever, you have to calm down and you have to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to be professional here and I'm not going to lose my cool. I think it's a good idea that other cops who weren't necessarily hot on the chase should come in and say, look, We've got this thing now. Why don't you go back to your squad car? You're all worked up. We'll take care of it. But you at least got to tell yourself, okay, I'm not going to get myself sued or fired over this. This guy would be berserk. And you just can't have that on the police force. I mean, if you've been chasing somebody at 120 miles per hour and he's been endangering the public and you finally get to him and you punch him, I can say, okay, I understand. That's not right. We're going to have to go through some training. You might get disciplined for it, but at least it's understandable. But here, no. This, you can't do this. I mean, this is just really untoward. Let's see what we've got. Yeah, I agree. Let's see what else we have here. Oh yeah, we'll go back to the window punch. What was it? Maybe I'm wrong.
You will find this video hard to watch.
That looks like an elbow.
Hard to watch.
Oh, maybe you're right. It looks like an elbow, but yeah, you could be right. I could be misinterpreting what happened there. Okay. I don't have a lot else to say about this. People have been wanting to know how I felt about it. I think that a lot of them were wondering if I was going to take the cop's side. And because I'm kind of known as, fairly pro-cop. However, no. Nah, I ain't going to do it. Not for this one. This cop needs to be fired. And, oh, by the way, what could we do for him as far as punishment goes from the law? I do think that he needs to be charged with battery. What would be his sentence if found guilty? And I have a feeling he'd have a hard time fighting this one. I think this is a classic case of a year in probation. What about jail? He should go to jail. No, this was a simple battery. He probably has no prior record. The guy was being a dick, kind of amped him up a little bit. It's mildly understandable. No, that's not a case for jail. You get probation 1 year, but you can't be a cop anymore. And he's going to lose his job. So it's not like he's getting away with it. Okay. People want cops to go to jail, I think, because they want that cop to have to face off all against those other people in jail so they can beat the hell out of him. No, that's not the purpose of a sentence. And we're going to be talking about this here in a moment. This is what I call prison porn. Like, oh man, when they put that cop in jail, I can't imagine what those other guys are going to do to him. I really hate that kind of talk. I don't like it, and I don't allow it typically in my comment section. That's the one thing that if you put in my comment section of my videos that I'll often delete. Or if it's just clear that you're trying to pick a fight, okay, and I'll delete those. So, and by the way, I have removed maybe one comment in the last month. So I don't remove stuff very often. It's rare. Okay. So that's all I have on that one. All you numerous people out there. Oh, I got 11 people now watching. Hey, if you're watching, get in there into the chat section. I'd love to hear from you. As you'll notice, I will put your comments on the screen on occasion. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And speaking of prison porn, I've had a lot of flack over this. Evidently, Jumpsuit Pablo said something about me. At least a couple of people in the comment section have made that claim or implied it, that he kind of pushed my channel or whatever. I don't know where that would have been. But at any rate, let's face it. I think that in terms of politics, I probably agree with Jumpsuit Pablo more than disagree. However, I got some real issues here. Let's take a look at some of the headlines here. Target. Oh, what's going to happen? He shows a picture of prisoners beating up on somebody. And then we have Carmelo Anthony hires boxing coach for prison fights, but it won't help him. And Carmelo Anthony in deep trouble due to Carmelo Anthony locked up. Oh, he's going to talk about the horrible things that are going to happen to him. So this is prison porn, right? And you can imagine the viewers that he has going out there going, oh yeah, tell us more about what they're going to do to him. I mean, come on, guys. Here's a problem I have with Jumpsuit Pablo. And by the way, he doesn't pass around fake information, as far as I can tell. He substantiates his claims. He doesn't have that problem. My issue is that he's taken the Carmelo Anthony thing too personally. Okay, so here's my advice to all those involved in this Carmelo Anthony deal, both sides. This is a murder. One kid murdered another one. There's tons of murders every year in Texas, in the country. What makes this one so different? Why are we so worked up over this? Why have multiple videos telling everybody about the horrible things that will happen to this one dude who's going in for murder versus all the others? I mean, like, why don't we do this for all the other guys who are doing this? And it's because it's become political. Okay, let's go ahead and play a few minutes of this one here by Jumpsuit Pablo. And by the way, the guy's got a golden voice and he has a demeanor about him that is perfect for this kind of work. I just disagree with his, let's say, conclusions.
Hey. We need to find Bubba, Tyler.
I mean, my God.
Before I was preventing migraine with Qulipta, it was hard keeping plans. Now I consider volunteering more often.
Exactly what Carmelo Anthony will go through during his first 24 hours.
Okay, that dude there in the middle, I'm not so sure about him. He could be a little bit, but of course, he's showing pictures of prisoners, and guess what he's getting at? Oh, these guys are going to be, well, he can tell you what these guys are going to do to Carmelo once he gets into prison.
In prison. If he thought jail was bad, he's in for a major shock when he enters literal hell on earth. Head shaving, stripping, showering with men, disturbing warning videos. The state prison is required to show inmates, warning them about prison dangers.
So my name is Joe. I'm one of hundreds of thousands of people who are abused every year in detention centers within our country. In 2008, I was sent to prison. I was not expecting to get. I thought I knew how to protect myself. I was wrong.
And more. I'll explain everything. Let's get started. So, first off, at the very beginning of these 24 hours for Carmelo, obviously he's going to be in court and he's going to get found guilty in 2026. Once he's found guilty, he'll be arrested. He'll sit in the county jail until he's sentenced. If not that same day, maybe a later date, he'll be sentenced. Probably be sentenced to a big, hefty amount of time, right? Now, once he's sentenced, he will be still in the county jail, and he will await the weekly prison bus. And usually the prison buses come anywhere from 2 to 3 times a week, sometimes Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. They never really run on Fridays. I don't know why, but whatever the closest date, depending on the day of the week that his trial and he gets found guilty and sentenced falls on, the next available prison bus will pick him up and take him down to the Texas Reception and Evaluation Center that is located within one of the many state prison yards in Texas.
Well, that was nice of them to come pick him up in the bus. I mean, hell, It's better than making him walk.
This is something, and I've spoke about this before with other cases. This is something in every state all across America. Every inmate, not just high profile ones, every inmate has to go through. When you are first sentenced, you are taken to prison. You arrive at whatever prison is the home and the host of the reception, evaluation, and intake center.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun.
And so what they do here, they house all these brand new inmates who are brand new to the prison system, or, just got their time. They run a bunch of tests on you. Physical, mental. Are you crazy? Do you need medication? Do you have a heart murmur? Are you
Free medical exams? Man, I'm telling you, it ain't looking too bad so far.
do you got high blood pressure? They got to figure all this out for their own liability's sake, so that they can give you the bare minimum treatment on that stuff. But anyways, once when that let me bring you to the bus ride. He's gonna be woken up in that county jail. At, I'm going to say 4 to 5 a.m., if not sooner. It's going to be a very rude awakening. Get up, pack your crap, get ready. The bus is coming. You're going to real prison. You're going to big boy prisons. County jail is like Ronald McDonald's ball pit compared to prison. Okay.
Well, the Ronald McDonald ball pit was pretty fun. So I don't know, man. The prison doesn't sound too bad. And by the way, that 4 or 5 in the morning thing, I just hit the old snooze part. I mean, that lets me sleep in a little bit longer.
Now, he's going to get his stuff together. He's going to go down there in the county jail and be awaiting. He's going to be in the bus terminal of the county jail, waiting, wondering, anxious, a little nervous, kind of scared, because he knows prison is different than jail. Now I'm going to the big leagues, baby. The big leagues of criminals. This ain't you little drunk driver or your little shoplifter who stole a couple candy bars and a shirt from TJ Maxx. I mean, these are the big boys. You're getting nervous. You're on edge. The bus arrives. You're shackled. Your hands are shackled. Your feet are shackled together. And then there's a chain connecting your hand shackles to your feet shackles. And so you're shuffling to the bus. And then you got a long bus ride where your thoughts are racing to the prison. And you got people on the bus talking, and some of them have been to prison 2 or 3 times. Now they're going back for their 4th. They got a cousin who's in prison, and they've told them this and that, and this is what I've heard. Oh, I heard about this yard. Oh, this is the dangerous yard. Oh, if anyone goes to this yard, you're screwed. This is the good yard. This is the yard you don't want to go to. A lot of prison rumor mill stuff, and you're just kind of Karmelo. He's going to be real quiet, I assume, because he's young, he's timid, he's a coward. And
I would just tell those dudes, hey, shut the hell up. I'm trying to think. My mind is racing here. Huh.
So, he's not really, he pretended to be a gangster and about that life. And he pretended so hard that he actually murdered someone. So now he's got to, face the consequences. But in his heart, he's not a gangster, and he's not really strong in the streets, in that street life. And so he's going to be very timid now that he's around real people who are actually like that. So he's going to sit back, be quiet, and listen. And he's going to be hearing all this stuff, and he's going to be, it's all going to be sinking in, and he's going to worry. Oh boy, wonder what yard I'm going to. Oh man, I wonder how this is going to go. Oh man, going to be very nervous.
I have to admit, it's tough making new friends.
Anxious, on edge, and scared. Now, finally, the bus, after an hour or 2, will likely arrive at the prison where the reception and evaluation process will take place. Again, this is a minimum 30-day process, maybe up to 60. So he arrives there. They are immediately going to bring that entire busload into that prison, they are going to be yelling at you like a drill sergeant, because when you're in the reception and evaluation portion of a prison, it's almost like boot camp. They are trying to break you and dissolve any preconceptions you might have had that, hey, I'm going to come into prison and be a badass. I'm going to be a bad boy. I'm not going to follow the rules. I'm going to be a thug inmate.
So this is just like the Marine Corps. I went to military academy. I can handle it.
No, ultimately, does this little 30-day boot camp really deter inmates who are just doomed and destined to be problems and problematic inmates? Does that really deter them from that? No. But they do try to put that kind of psyche, real forceful boot camp, really break your spirit and break your resistance in these 30 days to prepare you for whatever prison yard they decide to send you to based upon how your evaluation goes.
Okay, I figure you guys get the picture now, and you know what he's leading up to, right? All right. Now, you have to admit, the guy has a great voice. I mean, in his manner of speaking, the hesitations and all that, perfect. I just don't really care for this whole prison porn thing. Okay. They're clearly trying to scare Karmelo. And okay, I mean, that's fine, but I'm not into it. But Jumpsuit Pablo, check him out. I mean, I think he has good content. I'm just not too wild about the subject area. So let's go on to the next one. Whoops. Oh, I guess it is on. Okay, here we go. This is the amazing Lucas. And God, I can't stand him.
Wait, what? Oh, my goodness. So, if you haven't heard...
And by the way, that goofy stuff he does it the entire video to the point where you just want to smash him. I mean, figuratively, not really, not literally. No violence here, although he's a big promoter of violence on his channel.
Kyle Rittenhouse is back in the news cycle. This time, he's opining about the Karmelo Anthony case. Yeah, I know. The case that's got all these races just in their fifis.
Yeah, only the races are all worked up about Karmelo Anthony. The left, the BLM side, no, they're staying away from it. Give me a break, asshole. It was Dominic Alexander who started this crap in the first place. He's one of yours.
Now, just to give a little backstory on Kyle Rittenhouse, he's known for, essentially taking the life of people and claiming self-defense.
But claiming self-defense and actually convincing a jury of it. He leaves that part out.
But he's more known for him crying on the stand. Well, I can't even say he was crying. It was more of just sobbing with the lack of tears. So he, just... There were... Beta. That's really what he's known for. The meme.
Okay, let me say something here. Karmelo Anthony is going to take the stand. And when he takes the stand, he has to. I mean, really, unless somebody has a crystal clear video footage of him being beaten the hell out of by both boys, he's going to have to take the stand. And when he does, he's probably going to cry. And guess what? Those tears will be real. They will be genuine. It's going to be impossible for an 18-year-old to get on a stand facing life in prison with all of that pressure on him and reliving the time when he stabbed a kid to death and not get choked up and emotional. Keep in mind, Karmelo Anthony, according to the cop, was bawling his head off when he was detained. So it's going to be really bad. All right. But it's going to be real. And guess what? The same people that said, oh, Kyle Rittenhouse he was he was crying those crocodile tears. That was so fake. I bet that they probably practiced that, and it was so staged. He should win an Oscar for that performance. They're going to be the first to get in line to say, oh man, he's really worked up. I can't believe the state is doing this to this poor boy. The hypocrisy is real. In truth, Kyle Rittenhouse's tears were absolutely genuine. That is a panic attack. I've seen it before. I teach college where I used to, and I've had students undergo that during an exam. And I can tell you right now, that is exactly what happens. And no, tears don't come streaming down their face. In fact, of all the panic attacks I've seen, I can't remember any of them crying. But he clearly underwent a panic attack. How could he not? Again, just like Karmelo, keep in mind, Kyle was facing a mandatory life sentence, not just a possible 99 years. If he was convicted, he was going to be sent to prison for the rest of his life. And he was reliving at that moment a time when he was attacked and he had to use self-defense to protect himself. He had to have bottled that up for almost a year, actually over a year, unable to tell anybody his side. And here's his first opportunity to be able to tell his story. And yeah, it's overwhelming. And the same thing is going to happen to Karmelo Anthony. Karmelo is going to lose it on the stand, and it will be real. That doesn't make him innocent. It didn't make Kyle Rittenhouse innocent. Kyle was innocent because, guess what? The facts of the case supported him. They just did. Anybody who looked at the facts, watched the trial with an open mind, would have come to the same conclusion as all 12 jurors came to. It was clearly self-defense. Now, what about Karmelo? We'll find out. We'll find out. The truth will come out. Right now, it's not looking too good for him. If somebody put a gun to my head and said, you got to give up all your life savings on a bet whether Karmelo is innocent or not, right now, I'd put my money on guilty if I had to do it. Because so far, the evidence seems to point toward his guilt. But we're going to have a trial coming out. We will find out more. And maybe Karmelo did act in self-defense. I'm a little skeptical, but it's possible. And it's quite possible that he'll just get off. Hey, if he does, we just have to lump it. Even if we think he's guilty. You know, murderers get away with stuff all the time. But what's happened here is that Karmelo Anthony's case has become politicized. And so people have become emotionally attached to having him either acquitted or convicted. And that's just not a good position to be in. Okay, enough of that. Let's continue.
Teams have gone crazy. But a little backstory into Kyle Rittenhouse. Kyle Rittenhouse comes from a single-parent household. The day in time that he went to Kenosha, he didn't tell his mom. That's correct. So,
oh my God, he didn't tell his mom that he was going to Kenosha, but he did. That is just plain stupid. His mom knew he was in Kenosha. Okay? Hey, Amazing Lucas, you're wrong. You got your facts wrong.
He lied to his mom because she didn't know where he was going, goes to Kenosha. He gets a gun from his friend. That's correct. You know, the gun that he used to do this, this reign of terror, we'll say.
We'll just say a reign of terror. I mean, I don't have a name for it. Let me think here. Self-defense, self-protection. How about reign of terror? Oh God, the guy's an asshole.
That's where he got the gun from, was from his friend. Let's just say there are videos prior to what he did on that day. There's videos of him showing low impulse control, talking about how he wished he had his AR-15, suggesting that he would cause, carnage and ruckus to these group of people that he believed was stealing from I believe it was a local CVS. He thought,
yeah, Karmelo Kamala Harris said that if somebody breaks into my house, well, I'm just going to gun him down or whatever. No discussion about whether you really have to do it. Because let's face it, I'm a gun owner. I'm an NRA member, been a lifetime member for 30 years. Okay. I carry a gun. And if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not going to kill them unless I need to. This idea somehow that, well, I can shoot him and get away with it. I'm not going to rub out a person's life unless I absolutely feel I need to do it. Okay? And she expressed nothing of that sentiment. She laughed, and all of the audience and Oprah Winfrey laughed when she said that she would just mow that guy down. And that's okay. But Kyle Rittenhouse can't say something along the same lines. Obviously, Kyle's comments were just idle boasting. He's 17. He's a kid. They talk like that.
Thought they were stealing. He was like, man, I wish I had my AR-15. So puts it in the state of mind how violent just, this person is. That video wasn't put into court, just so we're clear. Another video of him actually being a woman abuser, of him assaulting this young girl. That video wasn't put into court, just so we're clear. Lastly,
well, why would it? Of what possible relevance was that? Oh, Kyle got into a fight. A 17-year-old kid got into a fight. So what? Does it make him a murderer? And that was stupid. Well, okay, keep in mind, Binger, when he introduced that motion to have that video put in, he knew that Judge was going to rule that one out. There's no freaking way that Judge Schroeder was going to look at that video of Kyle punching a girl, 2 weeks prior and say, oh yeah, this is relevant. He knew the judge would throw it out. Binger put that motion forward because he knew that the public would get wind of it. I'm sorry, but that's the way it happened.
We're talking about his IQ. This person failed the military exam so poorly that he was banned from the Marines. He was banned. I've never heard of someone being banned, okay? But
it's not true. Simply false. He was never banned.
He was banned. So let's just get all this right. Single parent, low IQ, low impulse control. That's very interesting. What does that sound like? It almost sounds like.
It sounds like most of the people who sit out on the left side with their YouTube channels. Who in here really thinks that Richard Taylor is a rocket scientist? I mean, really.
The stereotype that they want to project onto Black people. This is something that I've said before. Every accusation for them is nothing more than confession.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach. Sign up at ads.roku.com.
Ironic. But moving forward, let's get into the actual tweet. And the tweet that he puts out, he says that Karmelo Anthony deserves life in prison. Now, let's just let that marinate. Let that marinate for a second. This is Kyle Rittenhouse. So, the same person where they wanted to complain that the left was putting out all these narratives, all these propaganda. Oh my God, a little white kid just went and did a terror spree and everything. And then we come to find out that he's claiming self-defense. This person is a person that says Karmelo Anthony needs to serve life in prison.
There's no doubt that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense. All 12 jurors saw the video of what happened. This is not OJ. In OJ, nobody came forward and was able to tell them what happened because guess what? They weren't there. Nobody saw it. There was no video of it at all. With Kyle Rittenhouse, all 12 jurors got to see everything that took place. All 12 said it was not guilty. So I'm sorry. It is ludicrous to just assume that Kyle Rittenhouse was guilty when all 12 jurors disagree with you.
Mind you, what do we know about the Karmelo Anthony case to be factually true?
Oh, hell, here goes the factually true. Get ready for a line of BS. Well, we have a question here from Graham. Hey, Graham. Let's see here. We're going to talk about that here in a moment, but yeah, I have a tendency to agree with you a little bit there. Wasn't he a conservative before 2020? I think so, but keep in mind something. These clowns that have their YouTube channels, they will change sides if they see they can get some subscribers. Let me give you an example. When I put out my video on Jumpsuit Pablo, I got plenty of people saying they were going to unsubscribe, and that I really should rethink what I'm saying about Jumpsuit Pablo. Keep in mind, I never said anything that negative about him. I just didn't like his take on things, okay? It would have been easy for me to say, oh, I gotta give Jumpsuit Pablo more credit here. Otherwise, I might lose subscribers. Did I? No, because I have integrity. I'm not going to switch my political allegiances to try to gain followers, but these guys will. These guys absolutely will. Look at Charleston White. He did it. He was a conservative for the most part. And once he smelled the money, he switched sides completely. You can't trust these guys. You can't trust the amazing Lucas. You can't trust Charleston White. Me, I have only 3,000 subscribers. I don't even have that many, and I don't care. I have a full-time job. So I can come on here and say whatever the hell I want. I don't have to worry about losing popularity.
Zero. Nothing. No facts have coming out. All we know is Karmelo Anthony's claiming self-defense and that there's a little kid, Austin Metcalf, who's no longer with us. We've had the father constantly come out, despite these racists who are very upset with him, saying, hey, don't make this a racial issue. This is a human issue. This is what this is. We have these racists going full cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs over this father because he's not allowing them to use his dead son to make this some type of racial issue.
Yeah, Jeff Metcalf is catching the same thing. You really think that only the left, or sorry, you really think that only the right is doing this? The left is going after Jeff Metcalf just as badly. And quite frankly, I think it's all stupid. It really is all stupid. It is the case is going to be Karmelo Anthony, was he acting in self-defense when he stabbed Austin Metcalf? Austin's father is of no relevance whatsoever, and neither is Karmelo Anthony's father. They're not witnesses. They're not involved. They're not parties to this case at all. So I don't care if Drew Anthony contacted whatever and said whatever on TikTok. I don't care what Jeff Metcalf said. It doesn't matter. And yet these broadcasters like the amazing Lucas and them, they're all fixated on this. And I can't stand it. Oh, well.
Type of racial division, which is what these demons constantly do. Damn. Now, Kyle Rittenhouse was deemed innocent until proven guilty among these people. Innocent until proven guilty, okay? They said, hey, we don't know all the facts, innocent until proven guilty. By that same token, you would think that he would share the same charity that was bestowed upon him to Karmelo Anthony.
Guess what? He's right. Oh, and people are hitting the unsubscribe button now. They're hitting over the Johnny Walker Dread channel. Unsubscribe. I can't believe he's saying that, but he's absolutely right. I mean, the amazing Lucas is not right about much of anything, but he's right here. I'm sorry, Kyle, but the presumption of innocence and withholding judgment until you hear from the jury was what saved your butt. You know, you're the last person in the world that can come forward and jump to a conclusion about the outcome of a case without becoming a real hypocrite about this. You suffered because too many people jumped to conclusions. Too many people assumed you were guilty on the thinnest of evidence, and now you're doing the same damn thing to Karmelo Anthony. Take my advice, Kyle. Get the hell out of politics. You suck at this. Okay? It's going to be difficult for you to act in any manner without coming across as a big hypocrite, but you don't do yourself favors by basically convicting somebody without going through a trial first. You should know better. Ah, man, I understand he's only like 22 years old. I get it. But there's no excuse for putting out a tweet that basically condemns Karmelo Anthony without a trial. He is the last person that can do that. Now, is he innocent? Yeah. I will defend him till the end of the earth. Kyle Rittenhouse absolutely defended himself, and he should have been acquitted, and he was. Got no problem with that. What he needs to do is keep his mouth shut, because every time he seems to go on and talk about things, he gets it all fouled up. Okay, let's see what we have here. I think we're good. Okay, let's continue on.
Especially given that we have no facts of the case. No, he doesn't do that. And this goes to show you, as I've said before, it has nothing to do with law and order. To them, law and order goes back to their Neanderthal caveman mindset, which is black person bad, white person good.
Gee, I wonder if the left does this.
That's what these demons, that's what this lineage of evil, that is the low IQ mindset that they have, and that's their worldview. So when it comes to a Kyle Rittenhouse is presumed innocent until proven guilty. When it comes to Karmelo Anthony, he's presumed guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, but your side is doing the same damn thing. You guys had Kyle Rittenhouse all but locked away, and you didn't want him to have a trial. But now when it comes to Karmelo Anthony, oh, no, presumption of innocence. Hypocrisy is a two-way street. It's almost impossible to be hypocritical in your stance. Well, let me put it this way. It's almost impossible to point out somebody else's hypocrisy without you being hypocritical in turn. And this is where it comes up, right? So I'm sorry, but Kyle, yeah, you probably shouldn't have sent out that tweet. And I don't think I want to go on with the Amazing Lucas anymore, because quite frankly, I can't stand him. I don't like his mannerisms. I mean, Jumpsuit Pablo, he's a pleasant guy to watch. He doesn't jump around. He doesn't do the, put your face in the camera stuff. He's got a very nice voice. This guy, I can't take him. So we're done with him. Let's see if we have any comments in the comment section. Going back to this one, why does anyone care about what Rittenhouse has to say? The two cases have some similarities. I get it. But yeah, I mean, Rittenhouse is not an expert in self-defense. He's not. He has an interesting perspective because he's lived it to a certain extent in one way or another, but he's not an expert. So yeah, okay. Let's move on to the next one. I don't even know what I have up here. Okay, I'm only going to take a minute on this one, but this is a channel. Oops, did I get it? Yeah. I like this channel. I really do like this presenter. So let me play just about a minute of it.
Tell you a little something about the Karmelo Anthony case and my channel related to it. On this channel, on my channel, right?
By the way, the channel is called Convicted Felon. I think he is a former felon. That seems to be kind of a popular thing. You get out of prison, you start a YouTube channel. For example, Jumpsuit Pablo is a former convicted felon, and so is this guy. Now, keep in mind, I admire the fact that they were able to turn their lives around. However, I admire more those who didn't go into prison in the first place. Okay, but I'll give it up to this guy. He looks like he's turned things around. And by the way, I would love to do a show with him.
I give you the facts about cases. I give you the legality about cases. I explain what's transpiring in the court of law, what legal actions could be taken and not taken. What I'm not into is the drama. What I'm not into is the rumors. So this is to answer the people on why I haven't been covering the Karmelo Anthony case more. And the reason is there's nothing to cover.
Welcome to the future of press wires. EIN Press Wire.
Right? Unless you're into the rumors. You see, my audience, let me put it this way. There's some real stupid, ignorant people out here in the country. Okay? But not my audience. My audience is the best. But there are some real stupid people in this country.
By the way, my audience is better. Okay? I'll say it. However, I agree with him 100%. There is a lot of Carmelo Anthony porn going out there on both sides. Okay, you have the pro Carmelo versus the anti Carmelo, and a lot of it, as this man says, is really stupid. This whole thing about Drew Anthony, whether he was sending TikTok messages or text messages, and then Jeff Metcalf and all that kind of stuff. Who cares? I have no interest in it. I have one video on it, and I don't remember what it was about, but I stay away from it because I'm about the legalities. Did Carmelo Anthony really defend himself that night or day? Did he really do it? What are the facts involved? What are the statutes? You know, I like to examine the laws, and I like to ponder what are the chances of him being convicted based on those laws. I don't care about the parents. And this comes across as a bunch of women under the hairdryer, right? Chattering back and forth. Did you hear what Drew Anthony, the parent, said? Oh, I heard that he had a warrant out for his arrest. Oh, man, I don't care if Drew Anthony has a warrant for his arrest. Who cares? It has no bearing on Carmelo. And his whole idea, well, if Drew has a warrant for his arrest, that means this kid must be a bad apple because the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree. And oh, come on. Roy DeMeo was a vicious mobster hitman, claims to have killed 37 people. He was rubbed out himself, right? A terrible person. He had 3 kids. One of them turned out to be an accountant. The other one came out to be a fashion designer. And the other one was a medical doctor. None of those kids had a record. They all grew up to be upstanding citizens. Just because Drew Anthony might be kind of a rat, well, I don't even know for sure, doesn't mean that Carmelo is. And this whole deal about, well, Carmelo must be a bad person because of a father. No way. I'm sorry. The trial is going to be weighed according to Carmelo Anthony's character and background and actions, not his family. And the same goes for Hunter Metcalf. I am so sick of this. And again, this is middle school stuff. Right out of middle school. Anyway, convicted felon, if you guys can maybe put a little bug in this guy's ear, I would love to do a stream with him sometime because me and him, what kind of English is that? We have a common philosophy about this. We only concern ourselves with the facts and what's important. I disagree with him that there's not much to talk about. There's plenty to talk about. But yeah, this ridiculous gossip stuff, I got no use for it. So, convicted felon, go into his chat sometime and say, hey, Johnny Walker Dredd would love to talk to you and have a stream with you. He has like 8,000 subscribers. I have 3,000. If he had 1 million subscribers or 40,000, he probably wouldn't be interested. But with 8,000, I've got enough subscribers to where I can make it worth it to him. So go do it. All right, what else do we have here? This is AG Tactical, and I like his channel too. Now, unfortunately, he does get into that whole Drew Anthony versus Jeff Metcalf thing, but he's far more reasonable and rational about it than the average. And his coverage of the Tiffany Henyard deal was gold. He did an excellent job on it. He's a good dude, and I trust what he says. I don't think that he's ever lied or anything like that. He's got a good channel. So I do recommend AG Tactical. Go and subscribe to it. He's got a good channel. You'll get a lot of good stuff. Now, a good channel. This is Rashad Rich. He hates me. He really wishes I would go away. He's not exactly a small fry. He has 1 million subscribers. He's one of the hosts of The Young Turks. He's also a total fraud. He has a fairly extensive criminal record that he doesn't like to talk about. We have an upcoming stream on his treatment of a place that he rented from his supervisor that he trashed. Oh, you're going to love that one. Oh my God. The dude's a pig. Okay. And he creates a ton of phony, false degrees that he claims to have earned that he didn't. And I prove it all the time on my channel. I have over 100 videos on Rashad Ritchie, and they're almost all exposing the fraud and dishonesty that he basically belts out on a daily basis. He claims multiple PhDs, multiple JDs, tons of master's degrees. It's ridiculous. And I expose him. He even created a fake university that I exposed so badly that he pulled it down. So yeah, the man is despicable. He is and he has this latest show here, and you're going to see his.
A cafe calls the cops on a black patron for sitting at the establishment. Here's the video.
You don't call the cops on people for just sitting. There's more to it.
It's my job to make sure everyone in here. Again, I come here all the time. I have received that you come in all the time. I kind of I'm yesterday in here. It's fine. I'm gonna let her call the cops. This is fine. Let her have her moment. I come in here too many times. Too many times. I do working here all the time. Yes, I came in here yesterday trying to just get work done. I spend a minimum all the time. And the guy that comes, the tower guy that's here, he knows me. Personally, coming here all the time. He's the one that makes my drink all the time.
Okay, I come in here all the time. So what? I don't care how many times you've come in. That doesn't mean that you get to stay this time. What's this about? She came in, sat down, used their internet, used their electricity, I think. And they asked her, hey, are you going to buy anything? And apparently the answer was no. So they told her, you got to leave. And she said, you can't make me leave. And so they threatened to call the cops.
I understand. No. I understand y'all business, but I'm saying for me, I come in here all the time. Have receipts of me coming here all the time. I do spend money in here all the majority of the times. Today, again, I came here to make a video. I said, let me finish. I'm going to buy something. So if somebody telling me I'm going to buy something, why continue to bother me? You think the video's all over now? Yeah, I'm saying if I'm trying to finish a video that I owe at 10:30, there's no reason why y'all can't give me a second to post it and then come and make my purchase.
So she's been there for over an hour because she wants to do a video, one of those probably TikTok or Instagram deals. And they might have limited seating. So you got patrons coming in. There's no place to sit down. This person is not ordering any food or drinks. And they came to her and said, hey, you got to leave. Now, where did we see this before? Does anybody remember the Starbucks incident? I think it was in Philadelphia, where the two black gentlemen came in and sat down, and the manager said, hey, if you're not going to order anything, you can't sit at our tables. And they blew a big stink about it. Well, this is kind of the same thing. And what's happening is, I think, is that a certain subculture is finding out that if you go down and you sit down and you wait around long enough, you can create a ruckus, and then you can get on video, and then you can sue. So I think we're going to see a lot more of this. Okay. But I don't care if you've come in before. It doesn't matter. I'm talking about today. You came in, sat down for over an hour, took up space, and you didn't buy anything. As a manager, that's all I care about.
I already said I'm gonna make a purchase. But let her call the cops. Let her call the cops.
Brahms Banana Fudge Sundae gives a whole new meaning to decadent taste.
By the way, some people say, you're not really doing this from Oklahoma. That was Brahms. That's as Oklahoma as it gets.
Weaponizing the cops, put it a full mask.
Weaponizing the cops. Oh, good grief.
To the individual who decided to engage in this back and forth and the owners of that establishment, at the end of this week, I want you to analyze your goals and outcomes.
Our goal is to make money. That's our goal. We're not a charity. We're here to make money. And we can't make money if people come and use our space and don't pay us anything. Sorry.
Whatever your goal was for telling this woman to leave and the outcome you will see this week. Destiny Kerr was told to leave the cafe or they will call the police. Destiny K is an HBCU correspondent.
Okay, so what does that mean, that she writes for the local college newspaper? I don't care.
She posted an encounter she had at a New Orleans cafe called Rue de la Course. RUEDELACOURSE.
That's for his listeners. They don't know how to spell that stuff.
Writing, quote, do not buy from Rue de la Course, Carrollton Avenue in New Orleans. Kicked out, threatened, and weaponized by police on today, July 18, 2025. I was harassed, threatened, and had the police weaponized against me simply for sitting without a purchase while finishing work due at 10:30 a.m. I clearly stated I'd order.
You know, it does look like Jasmine, doesn't it? And it kind of talks like her. I agree. Yep.
Once the task was done, but was still told to leave, despite empty tables. As a black woman.
Despite empty tables. How do we know there were, try that again. How do we know there were empty tables? I mean, are we supposed to trust her? Because they would never lie, would they?
Woman and a paying customer, take your business where you're respected. So the establishment allegedly posted this statement about the incident. Destiny also claims they're removing Google reviews and have blocked her on Instagram. And it says, our staff is trained to ensure all people who are utilizing the space have purchased something.
Have purchased something. Yeah, purchase something, as in giving them money, which is why they're there.
Although we welcome all customers, we do have strict policies regarding those who don't, and we do not feel it's right to discriminate these policies based on race, gender, sexual orientation, otherwise.
In other words, just because you're black doesn't mean that you get to sit at our tables all day long without buying something. That's what they're saying.
We wish our customers happiness and success in all your future endeavors.
You're fired. That's what you say to somebody when you fire them. We wish you happiness in all your future endeavors. In other words, get the hell out of our establishment. You're not wanted here anymore.
To the business owner. I'm a business owner myself.
No, you're not. What business have you owned? The only business you owned, as far as I can tell, was this Richie and Richie thing where you listed yourself as the principal of the ownership. of the business, but misspelled principal. Used the wrong principal. You didn't even know the name of your own title. So don't give us this crap about being a successful business owner. You haven't owned crap.
What makes someone a patron? What makes them a customer?
They give you money in exchange for services, but you watch. Hang on.
It's not the transaction. Because if that were the case, a person couldn't come in and utilize the restroom, wash their hands before they order their food.
Yeah, it's the transaction. And you allow them to use the restroom because you think they're going to buy something from you. You're anticipating a sale.
Or maybe take a phone call prior to engaging the cashier. What makes them a customer or a patron is their intent. Their intent. Now,
she was there for an hour and she didn't buy anything. So at that point, the intentions become kind of questionable.
Destiny K would offer rebuttal to their statement. Here it is.
So Rittenhouse has finally made a statement. Let's unpack it and talk about it.
Let's unpack it and let's talk about it. Oh my God.
So you say your staff is highly trained, yet these are the comments that have been left about your staff, specifically your manager, Danielle.
Yeah, after you told everybody to go on there and fabricate these statements. These statements are worthless. They're only doing it because of this whole controversy.
Not only just that, how are your staff highly trained? Yet police were used to not only weaponize, but threaten a loyal customer. Nonetheless, although they welcome our customers and make sure purchases are quote unquote made, I myself and many have witnessed customers not paying and actually just getting water.
You know, I don't understand, officer, why you're giving me a ticket. There are others out there on the road that are speeding too. You didn't see the other people speeding? Why are you giving me a ticket? Oh, man. What these other customers did is of no concern.
Nonetheless, to say that we enforce the policy equally without discrimination, I don't think so. Please help me understand why during the situation, manager Danielle referenced the 1930s. Now, this business did not open until the 1990s. Yet, what happened in the 1930s? Yeah, Jim Crow.
Oh, no. Oh, God. What an asshole.
Segregation and more. You help me do the math. When it comes to the coffee shop, I have never seen any signage or policy put up regarding having to purchase or make a purchase before you sit down or even do your work.
It's understood. You can't go into an establishment, sit down for an hour doing a TikTok video and not buy anything. It's understood. They don't have to have a sign. The reason why is there is a sign that says, we reserve the right to refuse service to anyone. Okay, there is a sign. And even if the sign is not there, they still have the right. They don't have to post that. It's understood. Use some brains. The coffee shop isn't there as a community charity. It's a business. Oh, God.
However, since going there for over a year, since staying in New Orleans, I've seen many people host meetings, come in there and literally not make a purchase. However, they'll walk up and go to the water that's offered for free on the side. When trying to go to their website to maybe even fact check.
So in other words, you're admitting that you weren't buying because now you're bringing up other cases where other people did the same thing. This is a really bad argument. Okay, well, I saw a lot of other people stealing. Well, that kind of implies that you're stealing. I'm not saying that she's stealing. I'm saying that it's the same kind of argument. I see other people doing it. Well, that implies that you're doing it.
There's no website even available.
She has a
What the hell is wrong with this dude's lips? What's the name of that scar that they used to give where they would take a knife and they would cut up the side to make it look like a clown? It was done by the Irish quite a bit, but it looks like he's got it. There's a special name for it, and I forget it. But, I mean, what the hell?
Relationship with the business for a year. The person knew that she purchased just the day before, and she would purchase when she posted for work that had a deadline due. You go to a cafe to maybe drink coffee, eat a bagel, perhaps.
Yeah, but you have to pay for those, and she wasn't. Don't you understand, you idiot? Yeah, that's right. It's exactly what you do. You go up to the counter and you buy coffee and you buy a bagel. You give them money and they give you something in exchange. That's called a business transaction. She was sitting at the table not doing that.
Catch up on some things, have a meeting. As I said in the beginning of this commentary, I want you to analyze your goal and your outcome. Now, you got a dumbass policy, but it is well within your right to have them.
You have a dumbass policy where you can, make people buy something if they come into your store. Okay.
We also have freedom to respond to said policy. So if you're actually trying to do something that is in advocacy for a customer, which once again, the customer is defined by their intent to patronize.
Which means buy.
That's the law, by the way. So if that is your intent to be an advocate for them, this ain't it. All right, Jasmine, thoughts?
It's going to get dumber.
Yeah, look, I get if you want someone to buy something before sitting in the cafe. Like, I get that if that's really the hill that you want to die on. But you're absolutely right to ask the question, what was the goal here? What was the expected outcome? And was any of it worth it, right? Not just like the community impacts, but we're talking about this now at a national level, right? So this woman, I guess she was the business owner, the manager, whoever she was, threatened to call the cops on one of her regular patrons over someone violating, if anything, a store policy. Like, this woman was not doing anything illegal by just...
Okay, I want to straighten people out on something. The cops were not called because the lady refused to buy. The cops were called because the lady refused to leave. That is the problem. And can the manager call the cops? Oh, yes, she can. Okay. I can tell you what happened. The lady was sitting there for an hour, taking up room, probably using their Wi-Fi. I don't know. And the manager went up and said, hey, are you going to buy anything? And do you think for a moment that this patron said back to her, oh, you know what? Sorry, yeah, I'm just taking a moment here. I'm just going to finish up my video. Hell no. The patron came back with, hey, go fuck yourself, bitch. And the manager said, hey, I ain't taking that crap from no one. You're out of here. Now, keep in mind, and this is true in every state, if the owner tells you to leave, you gotta leave. And if you don't, the owner can abso-fucking-lutely call the cops. Otherwise, the owner would have no control over anything. People could walk in and just sit down and hold meetings and never buy anything, and the owner would be powerless. The owner can absolutely call the cops because the owner has no other recourse. She has no other choice. She has to. Now, the cops will come, and are you under arrest? No, it is true. You haven't broken a law. But if you refuse to leave when the cops tell you to leave, you definitely have broken the law. They have issued you a lawful order and you refuse to comply. And at that point, they can slap the cuffs on you. All you social justice warriors out there, you'd better learn this shit. This is the law. This is how it's done. And no, you don't have the right to go into an establishment, use their services, and not pay them. And if you do, the establishment can absolutely toss you out of there. And it's true for a bank too. Banks are private companies and they can throw you out of the bank Oh, but he has an account there. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. They're not taking your money from you, but they're throwing you out of the premises, and they can do it. Absolutely. Now, there is a limitation. They can't throw you out because of something of discriminatory. They can't say, well, we don't like black people in our establishment. They can't throw you out for that. They can't throw you out for religious reasons. But your behavior, oh, absolutely they can. Let's see what we got here before I move on. The Glasgow smile. Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of. Although I thought it was an Irish thing, but you're right. I remember it now as that. And in fact, wasn't it the Joker in one of those Batman movies that had it? I didn't watch those movies, but I'm not sure. But I think he had one. No kidding. Well, it depends on what side of the political spectrum you're on and who's the victim.
Sitting in a public space. And then there's the aspect of the, race getting involved of the situation, which isn't trivial either. When you're a white woman threatening to call the cops on a black woman, knowing how the cops tend to treat black people, that's more than just a threat of justice. Like that.
So in other words, let me translate that for you, everybody. If you're a black person, you should be able to go into an establishment and be the biggest ass that you want to be. They can't call the cops on you because you know what that is? That's a death sentence. That's what she's saying. There was never race involved in this. Okay? I'm sorry, there never was. And if you want to push that there was, you better prove it. Where's the evidence? But what she's advocating is this ability to go in and just be a total ass if you want to be. And the people are going to be scared to call the cops on you because if they do, well, the cops are just going to come and shoot you. Who in here believes that the cops are just going to walk in and just mow this person down? They're going to pull their guns out and just kill her because she's black. Come on. I am really tired of hearing this crap.
It can be taken almost as a physical threat. And as far as what she was doing, like I do this all the time. I know I see a lot of other people doing this. It's not uncommon behavior.
Right.
To go into a coffee shop, sit down, get some water. For me, I usually just like if there's a line, I'll just sit down and wait for the line to go down because why am I standing up there when I can just sit here instead and go?
She said that she was there for an hour finishing up a video. It's not the same thing. And when the manager approaches you, you tell the manager, hey, look, when the line comes down a little bit, I'm going to get up there. I'm going to order something. I promise. But I have a feeling that's not what was said. We're only hearing from one side of this. The manager has another side. And I have a feeling that the manager's side paints a much different picture. And I have a feeling the manager is probably the honest one. I'll tell you why here in a moment.
Up whenever there's nobody up there. So, it's a thing. Nobody has ever said anything to me or anyone that I've seen about this. And it is weird, if you're running a business, this business has been there since I think 1990, they said. Obviously, there's a lot of black people in New Orleans. So it's like, if you're going to discriminate in that way, like maybe that's not the best business model when you're in New Orleans.
Guess what? It is true that this business has been around for about 25 years. And it is true that it probably has a very large black clientele. Be open after 25 years if it treated black people this way. It doesn't. They don't have this business model of mistreating black people. Because if they did, they wouldn't be in business today. They have survived for this long. And keep in mind, that coffee shop thing is a really rough racket. It's hard to stay in business in that kind of deal. People vastly underestimate the costs involved and how hard it is to keep open. They have been able to stay alive for 25 years within a predominantly black population because they don't mistreat minorities. It is inconceivable that this business goes out of its way to mistreat black people, okay, it's a large part of their clientele. You know damn well that they treat and be able to stay in business if they didn't. And that should tell the story. It's called critical thinking. This is not a brand new business that opened. Then you could say, you know what? Brand new business. They probably don't know how to deal with this population. They probably didn't have the right training for a large black population. I can see it. No, that's not what happened here. And this is a manager. This is not an employee that they just hired a few weeks ago. It's a manager. Therefore, guess what? The chances are that the business is in the wrong is very, very small. You got to use some critical thinking, but neither Rashad or this lady can do it.
Like whenever you're creating something like a coffee shop, especially like that is a community space. You made a coffee shop because you wanted to give back to that community.
No, you made a coffee shop so that you could make money. What's this community crap? Giving back to the community. This is not a charity. It's a business. You have to make profit. The landlord who owns the business wants $10,000 a month. He's not interested in your, charity ideas. So you have to make money. And you go into this business because you could think you can make a profit. I mean, this is sounding Marxist.
And alienating people over something so trivial, over, just like policing their behavior to the point that you threaten to call the actual police on them. That is not a welcoming environment for especially a place that is, a coffee shop where people are meant to linger and they're meant to, exist within that space however they want to. And whenever you open a business, you have to remember that you're creating this thing, but people are going to exist within it however they want to, right? And
no, they're not going to exist in it however they want to. It's my business. They're going to exist in it to a certain extent, to what I find agreeable.
You as a business owner have to understand that. I just helped my friend open a coffee shop recently. It's not mine, so I don't run it. I just helped him get it open.
Bullshit story. She made it up. This is fabricated. This is another typical example of how they do this kind of deal. I just happened to help a friend open a business. Oh my God, it happened to be a coffee shop. The same business that is involved here. Oh, come on. You're a lying sack of shit. I am tired of this tactic. Did I pronounce that right? Tactic. I'm tired of it. Quit fabricating stuff. You got Rashad Ritchie on there. He does enough for by himself. You don't need to join in.
But it's true, like you have to kind of once you're done making it, it's not yours anymore. It's for the community, and they're going to exist within it the way that they want to.
Yeah, it's not for the community. It's a business. I'm sorry. No, I disagree. Well, let's move on to the next one. By the way, again, if you really dislike Rashad Ritchie, you got to subscribe to my channel. I have over 100 videos on the dude where I expose him day in and day out. He's a total fraud. He lies about everything. And there's also that really lovely one where he promised a school that had been ripped off by a treasurer that he was going to donate, I think it was $28,000 to them. And he didn't. Yeah, he did give them, I think it was like $5,000, only when we got on him about it. And we made a big stink out of it, and we kept riding him. And he finally wrote out a small check. But yeah, that's Rashad. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Okay.
A 3-year-old boy
Says Richard Taylor of Taylor House Publishing. This is a tragedy. I agree with Richard on everything here, but yeah, it's Richard. And Rashad is not exactly the brightest bulb, But Richard is really, really way down there on the old IQ level. Here we go.
I'll show you his picture. Katarius Starks Jr., also known as KJ.
Does he look like Mike Tyson? I don't want to pick on the kid. I mean, I'm not making fun of him, but he does look like Mike Tyson a little.
Has died in the custody of the Alabama Department of Human Resources, or, in my opinion, Child Protective Services, when an employee who contracted with the agency left the child in the hot car for 5 hours after transporting him from a supervised visit.
That's pretty bad. I mean, the kid being in that hot car, he died. I mean, that's pretty indefensible. I'd like to see an investigation and find out what really happened. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty horrific.
With his father. And this employee remains nameless, remains faceless, and hasn't even been charged, but only has been fired from her job. Just take a listen to the boy's father talk about his son and the fact that this person has not even been charged. And I'll also provide more details about the incident.
Accidents. That's what police say led to a child's death. The 3-year-old left in a hot car for hours.
It is tragic. WVTM 13's Bryce Oslin is live at BP.
I don't need the anchor woman to tell me it's tragic. I can make that decision on my end. I really miss the days when they would tell us the news and let us react to it.
The headquarters, Bryce. Police say the little boy was in DHR's custody when this happened.
Stunning design and high-def sound.
Yeah.
By the way, there's something odd about this dude's face. I mean, it seems to be like 6 inches between his nose and his lips. It looks like what a sketch artist would draw. You know what I mean? Does anybody see it? I mean, you're the sketch artist. This is what you get. It's really just strange. I'm not saying he's ugly. I'm just saying that the proportions are really kind of crazy.
The Birmingham Police Department say they were called to the Spring Lake area after he was found by first responders. His father says it was routine for him to be picked up by the Department of Human Resources, but he never would have thought that one of those rides would be his son's last.
Small, brilliant, bright little child. I'm talking about.
Oh, good God. Look at these two dudes. Are we on the same planet?
When I say yeah, respectful.
This is how Katorius Starks Sr. remembers his 3-year-old son. Katorius Starks Jr. was found dead hours after being left in a hot car.
I know in between 11:30 and 12 o'clock, I say 12:15, he should have been back at the daycare.
Police.
It sounds like he's describing somebody scratched his car. Like, oh man, look at that scratch. It's going to cost a whole bunch of money. Oh man. Okay.
Say a contract worker with the Alabama Department of Resources left the child unattended on Pine Tree Drive.
Like when he leave me, he's supposed to go right back to the daycare.
The Alabama Department of Human Resources says the employee has been terminated.
His foster parent drops him off at daycare. The transporter of DHR picks them up from daycare and then bring him to the DHR building in Beltran to have supervised visitation.
And then bring him. Okay.
Starks family wants the worker to be held accountable beyond losing their job.
Because it was neglect. I feel personally that he was neglected, and that's the true cause of his death.
Starks Sr. says he hopes to uplift his family by remembering his son's life.
Yes, man. I'm talking I knew how to count, knew his colors, 3 years old. Knew all the animals. I'm talking about he was very intelligent.
Yes, he was, bro. He was real nice and all that.
Like he was just joyful.
Notice something. The kid was in foster care. This dude wasn't even raising him.
And BPD say the worker in question is cooperating with their investigation. No word if any charges will be filed. And we have yet to hear about funeral arrangements. Live in Birmingham, Bryce Olson, WVTM 13.
And there you hear the father explaining the normal visitation. Now, what we don't know is why the child is in the protective custody or in the Department of Human Resources.
No, I can tell you. The child was in custody of a foster home because the parents loved that child so much and were willing to sacrifice anything to help raise him.
To begin with, from what I understand from reading articles, it is a temporary placement. Nevertheless, the father had visited with his son that day.
What a great dad. Oh my God. He visited with the kid.
As the lady said, they would take them to Bessemer from, I guess, Birmingham to visit with his father. Now, the child was living in a foster home. Those parents have not been identified, but the worker as well has not been identified.
Now, why would you want to identify the foster parents? The ones who stepped up and actually decided to help raise that kid. Now, they were being paid for it, sure, but they were doing more than the real parents were.
One article gives a little more details about this worker. This worker was reportedly an employee for Covenant Services, and that is a transportation company which transports children. They partner, or basically they get paid by those agencies to pick and transport children. Basically, it's just a kind of money scam. The whole foster care, child protective services is nothing but a money scam. But
you're right. That whole foster care thing is a scam. Can you believe that we pay people to transport those kids from one place to the other? Why aren't they doing that for free? It's a scam. Jeez. You know, if it's a scam, I know how we can foil the plot. How about raising your kids? You know, why do we need foster parents? We shouldn't need them at all. Why do we need child protective services? It's because parents aren't doing their job. Maybe if you raised your kids, you could foil the evil plot.
This article says that an affiliated worker, DHR affiliated worker, they won't take full responsibility though, employed through the Covenant Services, picked up KJ from daycare at 9 a.m. for a supervisor.
Of course, they're not going to take full responsibility. They contracted with a company to transport the kid. That company picked up the kid, and the kid died during transport. The agency is not totally responsible for what happened. I mean, I agree with the agency on that.
Visit with his biological father. After the visit ended around 11:30 a.m., the worker stopped to pick up food for her family and shop at a tobacco store.
Oh no. She stopped at a tobacco store. Oh wait, this is great.
And I am going to
Let's be real. Buying a home is stressful. I'm sure you've heard horror stories about
stop it right there, because that's pretty much all we need to see. This lady stopped at a tobacco store. Now, I can only assume and speculate.
Assume, speculate, which means going to fabricate, going to make something up. And he says, that's all we need to know. Really? Gee, I'd like to investigate more, but I guess we've settled it.
That maybe she had gotten some cigarellos, some backwoods, some Swisher Sweets, whatever people sometimes utilize to get lifted, get blowed, get blunted, whatever the case.
on tobacco. Yeah, Richard's explanation for what happened was that this woman went to this tobacco store for 5 hours and got so hooked up on tobacco that she left the kid in the car. You see that? That is a tin of tobacco. I smoke a pipe. I went to the tobacco store about a month ago and I bought this. So what? He seriously thinks that the woman just got all toked up and couldn't function because she smoked some cigarillos.
Case maybe because that's the only thing I can think of how you don't take that child back to the daycare. Maybe once again, she was on edibles and forgot that the child was there. But what's most disturbing to me is once again,
Edibles? Tobacco store. Hey man, you don't want to eat tobacco. That's not good. I mean, I used to chew, I used to dip. And I mean, once in a great while, you would end up swallowing the tobacco, and it was never pleasant. That's right. She went and got edibles at the tobacco store. Oh my God. I can tell you what I think might have happened is that the dude at the tobacco store and the woman might have something going on. And maybe she stopped at the tobacco store for other things other than tobacco. But you know what? I don't know. I mean, that could have happened, but it's pure conjecture. And I would like to investigate to find out. I'm not going to make stuff up.
Again, that there has been no charges levied against this individual. Losing your job after leaving a child that wasn't supposed to be in your care. The child, as the father stated, was supposed to be back at the daycare during that time. So why is the child even at your house? Why are you transporting a child, handling also personal responsibilities? That's definitely a conflict of interest. But this speaks to a
personal responsibility. Where is the personal responsibility in having a foster family taking care of your kids?
Greater problem with, once again, this whole foster care, CPS, Child Protective Service industry that is rife with that kind of abuse. Because once again, he's a 3-year-old black child. And once again, I don't know the identity, the racial makeup of these of the foster family or the transporter.
You know, it's in Alabama. It's a social worker, not even a social worker. It's a low-level paid person to go and transport a kid, from one place to another. There's a very good chance that this person is black. Okay? I mean, maybe not. But if the person turns out to be black, what do you think Richard's going to do? Do you think he's going to go on his channel and say, look, everybody, it turns out that the person that is involved in the child's death is a black person? Hell no. He'll bury it. You'll never hear any more about this story. Now, if the person's white, oh God, he's going to be all over it.
But, we've seen throughout history that, black children are, not as valued as other children. So I can only imagine that, this person put their own personal needs, wants, or desires above the welfare of that child, leaving him in the car for 5 hours. And they just say police responded. They didn't say who called them, what have you. Did the worker call them? There's no excuse for this. I've talked to many people who have experienced foster home experiences, and none of them have a great experience that I've heard of. Everybody I talked to said that their childhood was really, really troubling.
That's right. The reason why is, number one, the foster kid is not one of your own. So you didn't raise the kid, and therefore you don't have the strong emotional attachment to that child. Number two, foster children tend to get into a lot of trouble. Okay? So there's always going to be really tough family dynamics involved. And I know something about the foster system. I wrote grants for it. I know the struggles. I know what they go through. It's hard. You bring in some foster kids into your neighborhood, the neighbors get on you because, I mean, why are you bringing these kids in to our neighborhood? They're nothing but trouble. I get it. Okay. It's hard. And the idea that the foster parents are not necessarily great parents, well, guess what? They're better than the ones that gave you up. Right? What happened to the real parents? Would you rather go back to them? Well, you can't. They're in jail, or they're strung out on drugs, or one is beating the hell out of the other. Let's face it, that kid was put into foster care because the real parents were irresponsible. They didn't care about that kid. And it's unfortunate. Now, here's something. I'm going to go off on a tangent here. There was a time when a popular politician named Newt Gingrich came up with a solution. He said, look, why don't we bring back the orphanages? You could take all these kids that were supposed to be in foster care, you put them in a building, you bring in the nurses and the doctors and people to make sure that they're well taken care of. And it's better than sending them to foster homes where who knows what's going to happen to them. And I looked at that and I said, if you do it right, if you take extra steps to ensure that the kids are well taken care of, physically and mentally, you could provide tutoring for the kids because you've got them all together. This could work. Guess who killed it? Guess who ridiculed him for even bringing the idea up? Anybody want to guess? Hillary Clinton. That's right. She killed it. She took advantage of that to score political points. And to this day, we still don't have a solution to this problem. I really think Newt Gingrich was onto something. You could bring in kids into into an orphanage and give them love and give them good medical, treatment and give them good education. You can do those things. But she would not have it because it was brought forward by a Republican. And I've hated that bitch ever since.
Not to mention, once again, if you're already having trouble or problems at home and you have to be placed in a foster care system, there should be some sort of checks and balances to ensure that these people who get those children, first of all, the foster families, who get these children are reputable, are equipped for the job and not just getting it, from what I understand, the check. I think if you get foster kids, you get a certain amount of stipend a month. And so,
you know what? There are far more foster children than parents willing to take them in. What are you going to do about that, Richard? How are you going to solve that problem? You're good at bringing up complaints. You're not good at bringing up solutions. Newt Gingrich had a solution, and I'm sure you didn't like it. So what is your solution? He doesn't have one.
You have a lot of people out there doing it just for the money, as with these transportation companies. These transportation companies don't necessarily have a heart for these. They said they are a contract worker. That means they have contracting with this agency, the Department of Human Resources, gets money.
We redefined outdoor cleaning. No bleach, no hassle, wet it and forget it.
To contract, to pay agencies to perform some of their services. So
dude, yes, there are companies that say, hey, we know that you have a need. You need to get the foster children from one place to another. We can do that. Well, we're not going to do it for free. Of course they're going to get paid. You little Marxist shit. Nobody works for free, man.
And I do not excuse the Department of Human Resources in KJ's death, because they are solely responsible as well. They contracted with this company, so they should not pass the buck on this employee. Everybody should be held liable for that young man's death because
No, I disagree. You go after those who are to blame, not responsible, to blame. That child died because somebody made a mistake. Maybe it was the person transporting. Seems likely, or maybe it was somebody else, but you go after the person that did it, that was to blame. This whole idea that, well, the Department of Human Resources, or I'm sorry, Department of Public, or whatever agency it was, well, they're responsible too. They did the right thing. They gave the kid over to a company that was contracted to do this job, and the company made a mistake, did something tragic. It's not the department's fault. Go after those who are to blame for the mistake. Don't go after everyone just because they're technically responsible.
If it were not for DHR contracting with the company, Department of Human Resources, they said she's an affiliate worker. That means, okay, you affiliated. And if she's affiliated with you, then you are affiliated with her. So I don't know why they are not under scrutiny as well. Just this nameless, faceless person who left this child in there to pass. And they said it was like 108-degree weather. And it felt like 150 in that car. So you can just imagine the amount of suffering that young KJ had to go through. So hopefully this person will definitely be brought up on charges. And if they are not, if their identity is not released, and I'll come back and correct this if I am wrong, but if not, I will just automatically assume that this person may have been a white person. Because
There you go. I know some of you in the chat were wondering, when's he going to make it about race? Well, he just did. If they don't tell us who it is, well, we can assume it's white, so we can use this as an example of white brutality. In all honesty, I think there's about a 60% chance that the person is black. And I don't care. It doesn't matter. I mean, somebody goofed up. He went into a tobacco store. And by the way, I don't know if the tobacco store, if that was the end of it. I mean, maybe she went someplace else afterwards. Who knows? I don't know the facts involved. But whatever the case, somebody made a tragic mistake. They didn't do it on purpose. That's what most of the commenters in his little YouTube channel think. This was done on purpose. No, nobody did it on purpose, but somebody was irresponsible. Somebody is to blame. And I don't care what their color is, but he does. And he gets to say that, well, if we never find out, then we get to assume it was a white person. And then we can crow on about how the white person, some white person killed a little young black boy. I mean, that's how they operate. That's what they do. They just assume. And then it becomes a fact. I don't know if we have much on this anymore. Hang on. We'll just go ahead and finish this off.
They are not held accountable. In these situations, they're calling it an accident, a tragic mistake. So, we'll definitely look into this more. But once again, rest in peace to Katarius. KJ Starks. Condolence to the family. You see the father. He looked just like his father, just a light-skinned version. But he definitely looks like his father. That was.
Oh, dude, why are you insulting the poor kid? He's died. And you're saying he looks just like his father. I mean, come on, man. Lighten up a little. Give the kid something. And he looks like a light-skinned version of his dad. Be careful. If he's too light-skinned, then you won't care about him anymore. It's tragic, okay? He's a young boy. He didn't deserve to die in the back of that car. And I agree with Richard on one thing. I mean, it must have been pretty horrible being in the back of that car with those rising temperatures. I get it. And somebody blew it. Somebody made a tragic mistake. No, I'm sorry. No, not a mistake. Somebody made some decisions that were very tragic and probably criminal. And guess what? They need to investigate this. And if the person did a crime, they need to go after that person. but we need to find out what happened. So I'll agree on it. I feel bad about the kid dying. Richard doesn't. Richard doesn't care about that kid. He doesn't even care about his own. Go watch my last video on him. But yeah, I mean, it was unfortunate. It was a tragedy. Shouldn't have happened. And they need to investigate. And if somebody really screwed up, they need to be punished. And as far as I can tell, somebody must have screwed up. Let's see what we got going on here in the chat. Oh, I saw that one already. I'm not sure, John, what you mean by that. And by the way, John is showing up, well, has co-hosted with me on the previous live show with Karmelo Anthony. Well, on the Karmelo Anthony dealio. So go back and watch that. It was a lot of fun. Okay, let's see what else I got. I'm probably getting close to the end here. We're only going to watch a few minutes of this, and then I'm going to call it a night. Just to give you an idea about what we're facing with the Karmelo Anthony deal.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the After the Bars podcast. I am Sam. How is everybody doing today? Hopefully everyone's doing great.
By the way, I mentioned that being an ex-con is somehow popular now on YouTube. This guy was in prison as well. So that's what I was talking about.
We're going to talk about Karmelo Anthony today and the theory about the backpack and what items might possibly have been in there, what created the drama, the altercation, the person getting unalived, dare I say, the first minute of the show. There's a theory, some critical thinking happening right now, and I'm a part of it, and I want to share that with you guys. With my history with the criminal justice system, with all the countless hours of court TV that I watch on my other channel, Legal Livewire, Court Cam, I think this theory is solid, and I think it's probably the case. And I think with the lack of proof that we're seeing publicly is the proof that it is what it is.
Wait, the lack of proof is the proof? Now, how the hell does that work? The lack of evidence shows. Okay, fine. Hey, by the way, you're an ex-con. You're an ex-con. You've been to prison. That doesn't make you an expert. It means you have a certain perspective. I'll grant that, but no, you're not an expert.
So stay tuned. I am Sam, and this is After the Bar.
At Cox, we're always a step ahead. Like how the price of your plan won't go up for 3 years. Guaranteed.
I know most of you have seen my content, and there's tons of other creators out there doing content on the Karmelo Anthony case. Everyone has theories. There's tons of clickbait. I've had to retract information because of all the false information that's been out there.
Gee, if you did any research, you wouldn't have to do all that. I've had to retract stuff on occasion when I got things wrong, but it's pretty rare because I usually check things out first.
Creators are beefing over who does what first, and it's just a big mess, and that's why I want to like refocus it, just real analysis of the situation, because I think it's important. I think this case can, as I've said in like one of my first two shows, that it could escalate into a race baiting war on X, on YouTube, Facebook, you name it. It's the possibility is there, and it's already happened in some instances. I did a really good video on Charleston White, how he flip-flopped, his original, theory that Karmelo was guilty, and then he met with Dr. Umar, and then met with Karmelo Anthony's dad, Drew Anthony, who happens to have a warrant for his arrest. So it comes out, and a pretty, I would say, lengthy criminal history, some theft, some domestic violence.
I don't care. It has no relevance on anything. I don't care if Drew was a serial killer, has no impact on Karmelo's guilt.
Some traffic. What I want to talk about today is the theory that that what happened underneath that tent wasn't just him trying to get out of the rain or to find shelter. What I want to present to you today is that there's a strong possibility, by the way that the charges have been, by the severity of the charges, there's a very strong possibility that there might have been some stealing, that Karmelo might have gone in there and stole some things.
And you're going to tell us the evidence that supports this claim, right? I mean, you're claiming that Karmelo was there to steal. You have evidence, right? We'll see.
And when Austin Metcalf approached him and asked him to leave, or he might even said, what are you doing in here? He might have seen him steal something. This is all information we don't know yet. He might have seen him steal something and asked for the bag, because the prelim reports that we're getting from people that have seen the video are pretty mixed. Some say it looks like he does grab the bag. Maybe there's some witness testimony that Austin Metcalf does grab the bag. If the only reason that I would see him to grab the bag would be that he thinks there's some personal belongings, either of his or someone else's, in that bag.
No, there's other reasons. And I've told everybody, here's what I think happened. Well, okay, I had to be careful. Here's what could have happened. Austin sees Karmelo underneath his tent, his team's tent, right? And he's like a little perturbed by that. What's he doing? He's from a rival school. Oh, hell no. He's not supposed to be under here. So he walks up and he grabs the bag to push it into Karmelo and say, hey, get your crap and get the hell out of here. Now, I have no proof of that at all. It's something that could have happened. But this idea, well, the only thing that could have happened was that Karmelo was stealing. Oh, no. I ain't going for that. I have an alternative explanation, and you need to disprove it. Sorry.
If he was to unalive the person trying to get back something that he'd stolen, it's basically someone getting unalived in the commission of a crime. And when it's a commission of a felony and someone dies, it's definitely first degree with some aggravated enhancements. Hey guys, sorry.
Well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Go back and read the statutes. There doesn't have to be a commission of a crime for it to be a first degree felony. And I've been trying to tell everybody, Texas has capital murder and murder. Those are the two murder statutes or two murder charges you can file. Karmelo clearly was not capital. Okay. So he was charged with murder. Yes, it is true that if Karmelo was in the act of stealing, that he could be charged with capital. I'm sorry, no. He could be charged with murder. But there's another way, and that is that he just simply stabbed Austin with the intent to inflict serious bodily injury, which is pretty clear. So although if Karmelo was stealing, that would suffice, there's another way for it to happen. So I'm sorry, no, I ain't buying your argument. This is not good. This is not a good legal take.
Sorry to interrupt the video, but remember, hit that like button down below. Weird shoes or something like that. But if it's something like stealing a watch or someone's shoes or something like that, I don't know. But it's definitely an enhanced charge. It's obvious the grand jury didn't see any kind of self-defense. They're going to leave that to the lawyers. But for them to charge that.
Well, the grand jury didn't see self-defense because the defense is not allowed to present that during the grand jury during the grand jury hearings. My gosh. I think I'm having a bit too much. Let me try that again. During a grand jury hearing, the defense is not allowed to present a self-defense argument. The prosecution rules the day. And their job is to convince the grand jury that there's enough evidence to prosecute the suspect for murder. The defense, for the most part, with exception, has to just stand there. They're not allowed to present their side of the story. So you're wrong. The grand jury didn't hear self-defense because, frankly, the defense was not allowed to present it. Hang on. Hey, KTZ popping in. Everybody, she has great live streams. If you're into the sovereign citizen thing or just cops pulling people over and things going batshit crazy, you got to go over, subscribe to KTZ, and watch her live streams. They're great. A lot of fun. She has a booze and body cams, I think, that takes place on, is it Sunday? They're a hoot. Okay, I'm telling you.
That first degree, I'm guessing that there was probably a crime that was committed, and that was probably Karmelo Anthony, unfortunately, stealing from people that were in that tent, and that there was someone's personal belongings inside that backpack. If that's the case, then he has no chance in hell of winning a self-defense claim. The Austin had the right to, well, I shouldn't say the right, because he definitely felt he had the right to take his bag and look in his bag for any kind of stolen items.
Is that true? Well, I don't know about that. Did Austin have the right to open up Karmelo Anthony's bag and look into them? Oh, I don't know about that.
That might have been in there. We just don't know. But he definitely didn't threaten him with violence. There was no punches thrown, as most people could see. For what most people could see, there was no fight prior to him stabbing him in the chest. I truly do think that he was trying to get the bag to look inside of it for stolen items from underneath that tent.
Based on nothing. You have no basis for that. Here's the problem. He thinks that if that is true, then that negates Karmelo Anthony's self-defense claim. That's not necessarily true, but whatever the case, because it negates Karmelo Anthony's self-defense claim, that's why he's wanting to buy into that story. This is confirmation bias, or just plain bias.
It was whispered in the beginning that's the reason why they have people watching the tent, because people have stolen from those tents before. It does make more sense for him to go into that tent if he was intending on committing that crime. It just makes everything make sense. The motive for him being there, besides for coming out of the rain, it wasn't even raining that hard. The reason for the charge to be so severe, and all the other little things, right? All the other little things. It really just makes sense for the severity of his response with the knife. He's already there being a crook, and now he wants to, fight for his life to not be found out that he was stealing, because he didn't want to go to jail, or maybe even get jumped by the Met Cap. Who knows what would happen if they caught him stealing? I'm sure in Karmelo's mind, he thought the worst, that he was going to get jumped if they got a hold of that bag and found those stolen items in there.
Okay, I want to be clear about something. There is no evidence that Karmelo Anthony was stealing when Austin and Hunter confronted him. I'm not saying it couldn't have happened, but there's no evidence of it. And until there is evidence of it, no, I'm not going to entertain this theory. Karmelo Anthony is going to have his day in court, and we will find out a lot more about what happened. I am not going to assume anything about his intentions until I find out. We can guess, but this whole idea, well, it sure looks like Karmelo was there to steal. No, I'm not going for that. You have to provide evidence to substantiate your claim. You don't have any. You have nothing. The only thing you have is that it all makes sense to you. Yeah, well, you know what? That don't cut it. Let's see what we have in the chat here. Oh, Wednesday and Friday at 8 Eastern, booze and body cams. Okay, those are a lot of fun. Basically, a bunch of people being pulled over and acting like idiots. And Sunday at 7:30 for Crime Land. Crime Land. I highly recommend that you guys join in on those. And those are all Eastern times. And go and subscribe to her channel. Just do it. Do it now. They are overcomplicating this with so many theories. This case is extremely simple. I wouldn't say it's extremely simple, but it's simpler than they're trying to present it. Personally, I think that Karmelo was undergoing a little bit of a crisis, a personal crisis. And Austin confronted him. And I think at that moment, Karmelo just made a tragic mistake. But I don't have any proof of that. If I had to put money on it, that's what it would be. I don't think that that Karmelo Anthony was there stealing. I'm not saying it wasn't. Let me try that again. I'm not saying that he wasn't. But, I mean, without any evidence of that, it's unfair to just assume it. Okay. There is, to answer KTZ, there's no evidence whatsoever so far that Karmelo Anthony was there stealing. And I'm going to tell you this. It would be a major mistake on part of the prosecution to bring this up. If the prosecution decides to try to make the claim that Karmelo Anthony was there stealing, that will be a mistake because it's going to look contrived. None of the witnesses reported to the police that there was any theft involved. Karmelo never said anything about that. So the jury would look at this and saying the prosecution is contriving this motive out of thin air. And I think the prosecution is smart enough to not do this. The prosecution is going to look at this and say, look, whatever reasons that Karmelo had for stabbing Austin, he stabbed Austin. And he didn't have the right to do that. He didn't face a deadly threat. They are not going to bring up theft. And if they do, the jury is going to look at that as, you know what? It seems to me like you really don't have much of a case and you're bringing up this theft deal to try to sway us into thinking that Karmelo had no right to do what he did. It's not going to work. The prosecution is smarter than that. They're not going to bring up theft. You're not going to hear theft bring up, try that again. You're not going to hear theft brought up at all during this trial. I don't think so. They are trying to justify Austin's confrontation of Karmelo. There needs to be none. Absolutely right, John. You got it. He could have confronted for any reasons. It doesn't matter. But they have already said why he confronted him. Why? Because Karmelo wasn't supposed to be there. He was from a rival team, and they may have reasons for not wanting people from other teams to be there because of theft, but they're not going to accuse Karmelo of that. It would be a tremendous mistake if they did. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, I mean, if he had stolen items in his bag, fine. We'll find out during the trial. If they have that, I agree with you, Katie, that if that's the case, okay, they might be able to bring that up. But even then, I think the prosecution would avoid it. I think that they would say, look, it doesn't matter why Austin confronted Karmelo. Karmelo had no reason to stab him. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but it just seems to me that bringing this extraneous argument in late, it just doesn't work for you. Keep it simple. Okay, but I could be wrong, but you're right.
So I think it's unfortunate that all of this has happened. I think his parents have really have been through a lot, and I pray for them. I pray for the Karmelo family, but most of all, I do pray for the Metcalf family. All this nonsense that's happening here on the internet must be really just driving them insane. Just to hear all the theories, for this young man to get so much attention, and Austin's name is just kind of getting lost in the melee of information. And so we'll definitely be praying for the Metcalf family and the Karmelo family, the Anthony family as well. Well, guys,
okay, so for the next 8 minutes, he goes on to tell everybody he's done with the show, but he keeps bringing it back. But I think we're done with it. He has this idea that Carmelo Anthony was stealing. He has no evidence to support that claim. As KT mentioned, maybe there is evidence that Carmelo was stealing. I still think that the prosecution will avoid it, but they very well might bring it up. But until there is evidence, there's no point in bringing this up. This is not fair to Carmelo Anthony. And I mean, yeah, I know he's accused of murder. He's not convicted. He's presumed innocent. Making up motives for him is not fair to him. And I know a lot of people out there, I can't believe that Johnny Walker Dredd is sticking up for that kid. I stuck up for Kyle Rittenhouse when the popular sentiment was that he was guilty. And I will stick up for Carmelo here, that until we have a trial, we're not sure what happened. However, as a betting man, it's not looking good for Carmelo at this point. I mean, okay, Carmelo has to take the stand. Okay, he has to take the stand. And he's going to have to put together a pretty good reason as to why he had to stab Austin. It had better be good. And he's going to have to claim that he had to do it. Otherwise, he feared deadly force. Good luck, Carmelo. Good luck. But you know what? I'm willing to let you have your day in court. I'm willing to listen to you. And maybe you can convince me. Hey, fine. If I truly feel that you had to act in self-defense, I'll switch my opinion completely. Okay, here we go. Yeah, absolutely. We don't need to get down to the level of lies. If Carmelo is truly guilty, the facts will bear that out. Why do we have to dream up stuff about false motives and Carmelo's dad doing this and doing that and being a fugitive and all that kind of stuff? We don't need that. And the same thing happened to Kyle. People were saying, "Oh, he threatened some CVS lawyer." I'm sorry. Let me try that again. He threatened some rioters at CVS. He hit a girl. You shouldn't need that. If Kyle Rittenhouse was guilty, then the evidence you collected from that night should have been sufficient. You shouldn't have to go back 2 weeks to some unrelated incident. You shouldn't have to go back a month to some unrelated incident. You should have the evidence from that night to show that he was guilty, and there was none. And therefore, the jury saw that it sure looked like self-defense to us, and they all 12 agreed that it was self-defense. The same thing with Carmelo. If I'm a jury member, I don't care about his father. I don't care about the father of the victim. I don't care about anything like that. I just want to know, what did he perceive, and was it reasonable? If he perceived that his life was in jeopardy and it was a reasonable belief, Hey, I'm all for self-defense. I'll do it. I just don't see that happening right now. Okay. At any rate, enough for the night, guys. We covered a lot of material here tonight, and it was a good show, I think. I really appreciate you coming in, John Mitchell and Graham and KT, and go and subscribe to Katie's channel. I'm telling you, it's really good. And who else was involved here? Let's see here. Don Quixote. And oops, what happened to my cursor? Oh, there it is. That's disappearing on me for some reason. Okay, I can't seem to go over there with the cursor, but it's Blunt B. I really appreciate you guys coming in tonight. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop this thing up into little segments and produce those as independent videos, and we'll call it a night. Thanks again, everyone. I'll see you till the next time. Oh, I got a video coming out on the whole Michael Brown deal. So subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.